Welcome back to another episode of Cape Ann Today. Before we speak to our Gloucester Times reporters, I want to make a quick correction to some farmers market news. 2 weeks ago, I wrote and published an article in the Gloucester Times laying out the farmers market activity for this summer. Some people were misled by the headline. Here are the farmers markets that will be open this summer. Magnolia Farmers Market is open. It will be open Sundays from 10 to 1. It's at 1 through 24 Lexington Avenue. And that is June 4th through October 1st. Closed July 4th and Labor Day weekend. The Annisquam Farmers Market is open. That is Fridays from 9 to noon, starting June 16th through August 25th. The Rockport Farmers Market is open. It's Saturdays from 9 to 1 in Harvey Park, starting June 17th through the 14th. The Cape Ann Farmers Market is not open. The one at Stage 4 Park, they are not running it this summer. Neither is the Essex Farmers Market, which was a little tiny farmers market at the Shipbuilding Museum. So that's the update. Now, Ethan and Stephen, let's talk to you guys. How are you doing?
Doing good.
Good morning, Heather. We're doing well, thanks.
Good. So, Stephen, let's talk about all these town meetings. So many meeting season.
Yeah, I'm in the middle of it. Rockport town meeting was last Saturday. Manchester by the Seas town meeting was Monday. The Rockport town meeting was long. There were a lot of issues, a lot of planning articles, a lot of citizen petitions. The meeting started at a little past 8:30 Saturday morning, and around 6 o'clock, I looked at my watch, and that's when people were walking toward their cars. So long day.
So what was there? I know there's been sort of.
They had a $35 million budget they passed, and that went pretty quickly. Interesting, just that there was a lot of discussion about the citizen petitions by Zena Sepola and several other people that didn't go very far. They were mostly defeated for technical reasons.
Can you mention that some of the concerns in the citizen petitions?
I think one of the concerns was about term limits. They wanted to install term limits in town and have other things. I can't remember. It was
yeah, it was a long day.
Yes, ma'am. But it did pass, and the last meeting moderated by Bob Visick, and he was in his glory on Saturday. He's really, I mean, I'm new to this beat. I'm a reporter. I'm trying to be objective, but I can't help but say that I really admire him. And he's going. He'll be missed, but that's one of the other things I wanted to talk about.
Steve, can I interject?
Yes, sir. Go right ahead.
Well, I just saw the great connection to Gloucester. His daughter is the deputy shellfish constable. Yeah. So when I did the story about the herring run, I met up with her and I said, "So is it going to go one day or two?" Asking if Bob's going to run it for 1 day or two. So he was like predicting 1 day, so I knew.
Yeah, good.
No, so some people just can do everything, and Bob is certainly one of them.
Yeah. Well, but before we move on, just tell me one interesting article that was passed at Rockport Town Meeting.
Oh, the budget.
Right.
$45 million. That's pretty interesting. It's often over. I'm sorry.
35.
About $35 million, right? Yeah. As a comparison, I mean, some towns, and I think Rockport is fairly typical of many of the towns that I've covered: Danvers, Lexington, Lincoln. It's fun. Probably the most important matter on the town meeting warrant is the budget, and in most of these towns, including in Rockport, there was discussion. There's no doubt about it, but it's amazing how fast they move. I mean, there've been so many hearings, so much consideration in the months leading up to by the finance committee, by every board that is involved in it, that people just want to pass it and move on. So the difference was I wanted to make a comparison between the Rockport town meeting and the Manchester by the Sea town meeting, which followed on Monday. that was a $40.5 million budget passed, but it took a lot of consideration. I mean, it was the town moderator in Manchester and Rockport too. They basically, for those of you who have been to town meeting, you might know this. They as the warrant, the agenda items on the budget are read point by point. There's an opportunity for people to ask for a hold on a matter. And, the town moderator will mention them by name, and then you hear hold. And that means it's a lot of conversation and a lot of consideration. But as I said, both budgets were passed eventually. The bottom line is they did pass. Also, along those same lines, talking about town moderators with Bob Visick stepping down, his last town meeting was Saturday. There is an election coming up in Rockport, and Brian Sullivan, an attorney in Boston, Rockport resident, very involved in the town. He's running to be town moderator, and Pat, God, I always forget her name.
Brown.
Pat Brown. Thank you, Ethan. Pat Brown is also running. She's the former town clerk in Rockport, and another longtime resident in town. So they will be running against each other. Different styles, but both very qualified.
Great. And then you want to mention the special town meeting in Essex?
Right. On Monday, there will be a special town meeting with one warrant article, and that is the article to decide whether or not voters want to have the town seek purchase of a property at 31 Apple Street, across the street from a parcel at 30 Apple Street that the town sought to buy last fall, so they could have access to their DPW facility. This property, it's a 9.6 acre parcel. There's a house, a once glorious house on the property. It's in disrepair right now, and the town wants to seek to buy it for what reason? A host of reasons. There's nothing specific there that it's tied to. Housing for seniors, affordable housing, recreation, who knows? But the wrinkle in the situation is that a private purchaser has come for us. It's Filius Management. They are in Manchester, and they have it under agreement, but the town has the first right of refusal, meaning the town has, I mean, if everything goes well, they get the property. They will have the opportunity to purchase the property. But Filius Management wants to buy the parcel. They want to renovate the house and possibly build one, maybe two additional houses on the property. So
did the town have to make a reasonable offer? Is the number already on the table that is acceptable?
$900,000.
Okay, so if the town agrees to spend $900,000, the seller will accept. And
I'm not a real estate attorney. I would rather not say exactly what will happen. I mean, I know it's there for the possibility of purchase.
Okay. All right, great. Well, you have been very busy, as you always are, Stephen. Thank you for that. Okay, Ethan, what do you have in the city of Gloucester?
Yeah, kudos to Steve for working late on Saturday. That was a marathon meeting, and then again on Monday on 2 town meetings. So congratulations. Town meetings aren't easy. I've done a lot of them, and yeah. So I have also mea culpa myself.
Okay.
I was managed to get the name of the not an insignificant person, the name of the Massachusetts Economic Development Secretary. I transposed her name, Yvonne Howe, and I spelled it wrong. It's H-A-O, and my apologies to the secretary. And but I don't think it hopefully doesn't take away from the story that we covered about really getting an inside look at the how the sausage is made, if that is to mean anything. where Anne Margaret Ferrante, State Rep Anne Margaret Ferrante of Gloucester, and Gloucester's own Bruce Tarr, who's the Senate Minority Leader, brought the joint Committee on Ways and Means to Gloucester's cruise port. And that was pretty significant. This is the joint committee made up of senators and those in the House of Representatives. And they heard from Secretary Howe and Undersecretary Jennifer Maddox, on housing issues. And I was only there for a couple hours, but you really saw the interplay. These were legislators who were on the Joint Ways and Means Committee from all over the state coming to Gloucester, getting that beautiful view of the harbor, and then sort of hearing the budget priorities for housing and economic development. Now, the housing piece for the state is like, there's some Article 87 legislation filed that they might split off the housing secretary into its own secretariat. Right now, it's kind of under Secretary Howe's purview, and so we heard a lot of concerned questions about housing, affordable housing, and help to those who are homeless. So it was very interesting to see how this is made. This is not a final budget hearing by any means. It's House come out of budget, Senate come out of budget. It's got to be reconciled. But it was good to see the process right here in Gloucester.
And I think, as I understand it, the governor and the Ways and Means are doing a tour of different communities, right? They're having these hearings in different communities to basically their budget hearings, so that.
Yeah, that's correct. So they're trying to bring it out to the to people by holding these hearings around the state. You got to think how many cities and towns there are in Massachusetts. 351 cities and towns. So Gloucester got to host one. And Ann Margaret's the vice chair of Ways and Means, very powerful position. So Cape Ann is very well represented. Bruce Tarr is also a member of the Joint Committee on Ways and Means, and that means that Gloucester, Manchester, Rockport, and oh God, I'm gonna forget that last one is gonna have a seat at the table.
Yeah,
Essex on when it comes to helping craft the budget.
Yeah, it's very exciting. So tell us what's going on. There's been some announcements regarding the elections in Gloucester.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Election season kind of started off with a bang. I was looking for a nautical has arrived in port. The Gloucester Daily Times, we're famous for nautical puns.
Yeah.
But no, it started off pretty busy. Now, I haven't looked at the list today. I don't know how often I'm going to look at that list, maybe weekly. But the mayor had announced earlier that he was running. He's in his first term. He's in his, he's been in for a little over a year. It's not really time to get anything done. So he's running. Obviously, he pulled nomination papers. Now, when you pull nomination papers, it signals your intention to run. Doesn't mean you will. So Ward 1 Councilor Scott Memard, he's the incumbent. He also pulled. In Ward 2, it's very interesting. 3 people came out, pulled papers. Daniel Epstein, Dylan Benson, and Barry Pett. And Pett is the former ward councilor in Gloucester, Ward 2. He lost by 1 vote. Your vote counts, folks, to Tracy O'Neill. Now, it gets to be a little musical chairs here, so you're going to bear with me. Tracy O'Neill represents Ward 2, but she was redistricted during the campaign. She learned that the lines would move. She no longer lives in Ward 2. She lives in Ward 1. So now what she decides to do, I think she's been saying, people have been asking her what she wants to do. She hasn't told me, and she hasn't maybe not decided what to do. She has options. She could run in Ward 1 if she wants, or she could run at large, or she could run for mayor. I mean, that really is the options. All the way Gloucester city government works, everyone runs every 2 years. You're all considered vacant. They're available seats.
So Scott Memhard is currently he's the incumbent in Ward 1.
I think he's been a long time. He's pretty much been a fixture. Cape Pond Ice, he's known for that. In Ward 4, we have another musical chairs issue going on. Frank Marjotta, Francesco Marjotta, is the Ward 3 councilor. but he moved during his term to Ward 4. Now the council, the city ordinance, the city ordinance allows for councilor to move and continue serving until the end of their term. The people who crafted the charter foresaw this. Gloucester's not a big place, so he's not put his hat in the ring for Ward 4 councilor. Now you have to ask yourself, here's another bit of musical chairs. Who's serving in Ward 4 now?
Val Gilman.
Val Gilman, that's right, Lanesville. So Val is the city council president, and she's decided to throw her hat into the ring for at large. So when you run at large, people might not know this. When you run at large, you're like a mini mayor. You're running. It's the top 4 vote getters in the at large race. So you're running at large. You could get more votes than the mayor, and in some cities that happens. The councilors at large get more votes, and it happens. That used to happen in Peabody a lot. So that's the sort of the musical chairs aspect. I know I've talked to Councilor Gilman about wanting to be more of a legislative and look at the bigger picture issues, and I think she's in her 4th term as Ward 4 councilor. So we'll see what happens. Sean Nolan, the council vice president, is running in Ward 5. 3, as far as yesterday, I know, council at large, polling papers, we know Gilman, Val Gilman, Jason Grow, and Tony Gross have signaled their intention to run. Doesn't mean they're running. They pulled papers. They have to get a number of good signatures from voters. Kathleen Clancy, the school committee chair, and Melissa Sherrod Prince have also pulled nomination papers to run for school committee. Right. And those are the only elected officials on the ballot in Gloucester.
So there has been some conversations about flags in Gloucester.
Yeah, this is a very interesting issue. I mean, from a legal constitutional standpoint, and I'm not a lawyer, and I wish I went to law school because I've been dealing with a lot of First Amendment cases in Gloucester lately. But this is a very interesting topic because the city of Boston was sued by a man named Harold Shurtleff in 2017. He wanted to raise a Christian flag over Boston at City Hall Plaza, and he was denied. He was the only one out of 284 flag raisings, 50 unique flags, to be denied. The city of Boston thought that they were intruding on the Establishment Clause, separating church and state. Congress shall make no law. But Shurtleff sued, and he got a group called Liberty Counsel to help back his suit, which went all the way to the Supreme Court. He was rejected at the lower level, wound up in the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said, you know, we looked at how Boston has a flag raising. You just apply. There's no, you just apply, phone number. There was no policy. That's the word, policy. And he won 9-0. Some of the more conservative justices wanted to say that this sort of knocks down certain tests that have been in place on free speech. But Justice Stephen Breyer, former Justice Stephen Breyer, a really narrow take on this. He said Boston was taking all comers. You can't then reject the flag because it has some sort of religious significance, which the Christian flag does. Gloucester is claiming it's a general counsel written back to Liberty Counsel, who backed that suit, Harold Shurtleff suit, saying no, the flags raised in Gloucester are government speech. It's they're proclamations by the mayor. It's kind of backed by the city. And in fact, they actually just recently crafted a flag policy saying, hey, look, the mayor of the city council, resolution, proclamation by the mayor, resolution by the city council, that's who gets to raise a flag. So they put in place a more formal policy. And but there's a gentleman, Alex Tessino, he feels very strongly about his faith, and as well he should. Feels like Gloucester, you can't separate Gloucester from the Christian faith. There are beautiful churches in this community, and he was very moved in his letter to us. He was very moved by the loss of sailors. I believe 14 fishermen in the 70s, and as a young person going and seeing the outpouring in the churches and in the families, it kind of cemented his faith. So he's saying, all we're doing is just raising this flag to show the Christian community's contribution to Gloucester's 400 years. It's intertwined, and so that's where things stand. I don't know whether there'll be a legal action. There's no legal action now. The city just responded to Liberty Council this week, so stay tuned to see whether I'll be a Supreme Court correspondent in the near future.
That would be exciting. All right, what's happening next week? Anybody want to give us some previews?
Steve, go ahead.
Yeah, sure. Got a letter from the Essex Conservation Commission. They are going to propose a conservation bylaw, and of all towns, Essex, a town that is beautiful, really good looking. I mean, not no overdevelopment there, and I guess they want to keep it that way. So it's a very lengthy bylaw suggestion. Heather, I know you want you want me to comment on what things are in the bylaw proposal. I would like to, but I just made a quick glance through it.
That's okay. We'll await your story, your full story on that.
No, thank you. Let's see. I have a town moderator profile from Rockport, your fair town. Got a tip from my colleague who sits to my left, Mr. Ethan Foreman, about a club based in Gloucester. They're the Cape Ann Rowing Club. I guess they were denied access to a race in Essex on I gather the Essex River. I talked briefly with one of their members yesterday, and I want to find out what that's all about. This is pretty cool. I'll have a story about Ginny's Bench, Virginia, or Ginny Hale from Rockport. She unfortunately died last fall. I think it was in September. She was hit by a passing box truck. I talked to the AG's spokesman yesterday, and he said so far there are no charges still filed against the operator of the truck. But in the meantime, there are people in town, friends of Jenny's. She was a well-known person in Rockport. She walked through the town on at least, by the way, she was 98 and a half years old when she died. Apparently she really relished that half year. She wanted everybody to know that she was 98 and a half, but I never met her. But good Lord, the people I've talked to just rave about her, what a charmer she was, what a snappy dresser she was, how friendly, how just really wonderful. She made her rounds through Dock Square, Bearskin Neck, and the downtown area twice a day, often 2 times a day. So anyway, these people, including her son, Larry Hale, are working to hopefully install a bench nearby the old high school.
Oh,
and that's pretty much it for now.
That's great. All right, Ethan, what do you have coming up?
I'm going to tour the East Veteran School on Saturday. The American Legion's having their Easter dinner on Sunday. They're back in person at the Legion, and I believe they'll be serving. And if you don't have a place to go, the Legion, I think, between 10, 11 o'clock, the drivers go out about 10 o'clock, and then they're serving in their kitchen. They're not using the open door this year. And and then I might be taking a look at the Tony Gross has proposed some rules on short-term rentals, Airbnbs. So we'll see where that goes.
Interesting. All right. Well, thank you so much, both of you. We always appreciate hearing from you.
Thank you, Heather. It's always a pleasure.
Interested in a sponsorship? Email sponsor@1623studios.org to learn more.